Have you ever done that thing where you open your credit card app and your stomach kind of drops? You see the balance, you see the APR, and you're like, okay, I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to pay more than the minimum. And then you scroll down and it says, minimum payment due $47. Statement balance $2,913. Interest rate 27.99% APR. And your brain goes, $47 feels manageable. I'll do the minimum this month and I'll catch up next month. But then next month comes and the balance is basically the same or it's higher. And you're sitting there like, wait, I paid. How am I not moving? If that's you, I need you to hear me. You're not bad with money. You're not lazy. You're not stupid. You're dealing with a system that is literally engineered to keep you in that minimum payment loop as long as possible. And yeah, it's kind of messed up. My name's Charlie, and I spend way too much time thinking about credit card math and the psychology behind why people stay in debt longer than they should. If you're someone who keeps making payments but feels like your balance barely moves, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today, I'm going to show you how minimum payments are actually calculated and why they barely work, the weird math that makes you pay for years, the psychology trap that keeps smart people stuck, and the fastest payoff method almost nobody uses correctly, even when they've heard of it. And fair warning, once you see this, you're going to be a little angry, like the productive kind of angry. Here's the thing most people don't realize. A minimum payment isn't the minimum to pay it off. It's the minimum to keep you current, so the lender can keep charging interest while making the payment feel small enough that you don't panic and stop using the card. Most issuers calculate the minimum payment as something like 1% of the balance plus interest plus fees, or a flat rule like 2% of the balance, or a floor like $25 to $40 minimum. It varies, but the pattern is the same. It's low. And the CFPB has warned for years that minimum payments can stretch repayment timelines dramatically, especially at today's APRs. Now, your statement literally tells you something like, if you make only the minimum payment, you will pay off this balance in X years and pay Y in interest. But nobody reads it because it's buried in tiny text and your brain is focused on one thing. What do I have to do to make this problem go away right now? So let's make it painfully clear with real math. Let's say you have $5,000 credit card balance, 27% APR, and the minimum payment rule is 2% of the balance. What's the interest each month? 27% APR means monthly interest is about 27% divided by 12, so roughly 2.25% per month. 2.25% of $5,000 is $112.50. So you're paying $112.50 in interest in the first month. Now, what's the minimum payment? 2% of $5,000 is $100. And I know what you're thinking. Wait, that's less than interest. In reality, most cards won't let the minimum be lower than interest, so they use formulas like interest plus 1% of the balance or something close. But the point is still brutal. The minimum payment is engineered to be barely above interest. So instead of paying down your balance meaningfully, you're basically paying interest plus a tiny nibble of principal while new interest keeps compounding. It's like trying to walk up a down escalator. You're moving, but you're not getting anywhere. And this is where it gets really interesting. Even as you improve, the minimum payment shrinks. So the system is like, nice progress, now pay less, which slows you down again.
Let's do a clean example that looks like a real statement. Say you have $3,000 balance, 24% APR, monthly interest rate around 2%, and minimum payment is interest plus 1% of balance. Month 1. Interest, 2% of $3,000 is $60. Principal, 1% of $3,000 is $30. Minimum payment, $90. So you pay $90, but only $30 of that actually reduces your balance. You just paid $90 to make $30 of progress. Now month 2, balance is $2,970. Interest is 2% of $2,970. That's $59.40. Principal is 1% of $2,970. That's $29.70. Your minimum payment is $89.10. Your payment goes down and your progress goes down. So it feels like, okay, I'm doing better, but the reality is you're stuck in slow motion. This is why it feels endless. And according to Federal Reserve consumer credit data, a lot of households carry revolving credit card balances month to month. At today's APR levels, minimum payment behavior can keep balances around for a long time. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Charlie, I get it, but I'm not that bad. I pay more than the minimum. Good. Seriously, that helps. But here's what most people don't realize. The first dollars above the minimum are the most powerful dollars you can pay. Because interest is calculated on the remaining balance, so every extra dollar you pay isn't just a dollar, it's a dollar plus all the future interest you don't have to pay on that dollar. That's why small changes can shorten payoff time dramatically. Let's take an example. $5,000 balance at 27% APR. If you pay the minimum, it can drag out for years. If you pay $250 a month, you might pay it off in about 2-ish years. If you pay $350 a month, it can drop closer to like 18 months. Exact timing depends on the card and compounding, but the point is, payoff time doesn't shrink in a straight line. Once you start actually denting principal, the whole thing speeds up. And this is also why debt feels hopeless, until suddenly it doesn't. Now, let's talk about the payoff method everyone's heard of, but almost nobody uses correctly. People always say, debt snowball, smallest balance first. Debt avalanche, highest interest first. Math-wise, avalanche is usually best. But the real mistake people make is they focus on APR and ignore the real enemy, the minimum payment structure. Because the minimum is what keeps you crawling. So here's the method that works best in real life. Simple, brutal, effective. Pay minimums on everything. Pick one card as your attack card. Put every extra dollar toward that one card. When it's gone, roll that payment into the next card. Yes, that sounds like Snowball or Avalanche. It is. The difference is you choose your first target on purpose. If you're stable and disciplined, choose the highest APR, Avalanche. If you're exhausted and you need momentum, choose the smallest balance, Snowball. And I'm going to say something slightly controversial. If you're stuck and overwhelmed, the psychology win is often worth more than the math win. Because the best plan is the one you can stick to for 12 months. Now, there's one more piece, and this is the part people skip. You can't outpay a spending leak.
Look, a lot of advice gets dramatic. People say, cut up your cards, freeze them in ice, never use them again. If that works for you, fine. But most people need something realistic. So here's a system that actually works. Lock the card in the app. Most banks let you do that. Remove it from Apple Pay, Google Pay, Amazon, PayPal, anything that makes it too easy. Move subscriptions off of it. And then keep the physical card somewhere annoying but accessible for a true emergency. Not because you're weak, because you're human. Because if you're paying an extra $300 but still putting $250 back on the card every month, you're doing debt CrossFit. You're sweating, you're exhausted, and you're not moving. Now I want you to do a quick psychology trick that sounds small but hits hard. Open your statement and find interest charged this period. Now divide it by 30. That's your daily debt rent. If you paid $180 in interest last month, that's $6 per day. You're paying $6 a day just to be in debt. And once you see it like that, it gets emotional because you start thinking, I'm paying the bank $6 a day and I'm stressed about buying groceries. That's when your brain stops treating the card like a normal bill and starts seeing it like a fire. Let me tell you a story that I swear is more common than people admit. Let's call her Maya. Maya has 3 cards, about $8,400 total. APRs between 22% and 29%. She's paying minimums plus a little extra. She's not buying luxury stuff, it's life. Groceries, gas, a couple subscriptions, a car repair, and then a few I deserved it dinners when she's fried. Maya isn't irresponsible. She's tired. And the minimum payments make her feel like she's doing the right thing, so she keeps going. Then she gets a raise, like $150 a month after tax, and she thinks, finally, breathing room. But the money disappears, not in a dramatic way, in a quiet way. A couple deliveries, a couple upgrades, a couple I'm exhausted purchases. And the minimum payment is still there, like this little reset button that keeps her from feeling urgency. This is the real minimum payment trap, not just math. It's that minimum payments teach you to think in minimums, minimum urgency, minimum progress, minimum change. And then people bring that mindset to everything. I'll save later. I'll invest when I'm caught up. I'll budget when life calms down. Life doesn't calm down. So the escape isn't just paying more, it's changing the default. Your default needs to become, I pay a fixed amount that actually changes my life. Not, I pay what the app tells me and hope. And now I'm going to give you the exact escape plan, like the steps you can literally do today.
Step 1. Pick a debt kill number. Not as much as possible, not whatever's left. Pick a number you will pay every month no matter what. Even if it's $50 above the minimum, even if it's $200 above the minimum. Because a fixed payment breaks the shrinking minimum treadmill. When your balance drops but your payment stays the same, payoff accelerates, and that feels amazing. Step 2, set autopay for the minimum and schedule the extra separately. This sounds backwards, but it's not. Autopay the minimum so you never get late fees or credit score damage, then schedule an additional payment, same day every month, toward your target card. Staying current and making progress are 2 different jobs. Progress needs its own lane. Step 3, if life keeps surprising you, use a 2 checking account buffer. Checking A equals bills plus minimums. Checking B equals spending. Your extra debt payment comes out of checking A first before your spending gets a vote. This is forced priority, and it works when motivation doesn't. Step 4, stop new charges for 30 days. Not forever, just 30 days. During that time, write down every time you want to use the card and why. Stress, convenience, social pressure, boredom. I earned it. I'll fix it next month. No judgment, you're just collecting data. Because once you see the pattern, you can replace the pattern. Step 5, negotiate APR and use balance transfers carefully. Call your issuer and ask for a lower APR, a hardship plan, or a temporary reduction. You'd be surprised how often they'll offer something, especially if you've been a long-time customer. And balance transfers can help, but only if you follow one rule. A balance transfer is not a solution, it's a timer. If you transfer $5,000 to 0% APR for 15 months, your payment is $5,000 divided by 15. That's $333 a month to actually finish. If you can't commit to that, you're not escaping, you're delaying. Now, you might be thinking, Charlie, I can't afford more than the minimum. Then we don't do shame, we do strategy. 2 places most people can find $100 a month. Subscriptions you forgot about, and convenience spending, delivery, rides, impulse stops. If the money truly isn't there, then you need a different plan, a hardship program, extra income, temporary cuts, or even a reputable nonprofit credit counselor, because minimum payments won't save you if your cash flow is negative. Another objection, won't paying off my card hurt my credit score? Maybe your score wiggles a little, but if your utilization goes down, that's usually a good thing. And even if your score moved temporarily, you do not stay in 28% interest debt to protect a number. Credit scores are supposed to serve your life, not the other way around. And last one, I'm embarrassed I'm in this situation. I get it, but embarrassment doesn't pay interest, money does. And the bank is not embarrassed charging you 28%. So we're done with shame, we're doing systems. Look, credit cards aren't evil, but minimum payments are a trap. They're designed to feel safe while quietly stretching your debt timeline and draining your future. But the way out is not complicated. Pick one card, set a fixed debt kill number, automate the minimum, schedule the extra, stop new charges for 30 days, and keep your payment constant while your balance shrinks. Because once your balance starts dropping fast, something happens. You stop feeling trapped. You start feeling powerful. And that's the real win. If you want, I can do a follow-up breaking down the fastest way to choose Snowball versus Avalanche for your exact situation, and how to set up a simple system so random expenses don't push you back into debt. So comment below, Snowball or Avalanche, and tell me how many cards you're dealing with. No judgment. And if this helped, hit subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.